A major threat targeting Princess Kate's Together at Christmas event has been exposed, and the shocking culprit is Camilla's daughter.
Buckingham Palace has officially named Laura Lopes as the primary source of disruption in the December 2nd Christmas rehearsal chaos. In a rare and unusually blunt statement released early this morning, the palace confirmed that the disturbances at Westminster Abbey originated directly from misconduct by Ms. Laura Lopes. The palace drew a firm line, standing unwaveringly behind Catherine, Princess of Wales. The statement, issued at 7:45 a.m. on December 8th, addressed the confusion that erupted during the Together at Christmas rehearsal, when smoke in the North Transept triggered panic, forced an early evacuation, and fueled wild, unfounded accusations online, suggesting Catherine had mishandled security preparations. Those claims have now been traced back to fabricated documents and selectively edited footage that appeared online shortly after the rehearsal. King Charles left no room for doubt. Any attempt to weaponize misinformation against the Princess of Wales, especially during a ceremony dedicated to national healing, is a direct affront to the Crown, to public trust, and to the families who look to this event for reflection, remembrance, and unity. Palace insiders say this is the most forceful public defence Charles has made of Catherine since she assumed full senior royal duties earlier this year. The 5th annual Together at Christmas, held at Westminster Abbey and fully curated by Catherine, has grown into one of the most symbolic humanitarian observances of the year. The King highlighted Catherine's tireless dedication, emphasising that she spent months creating a space of compassion and reflection for communities still healing from the pandemic. Her commitment is unquestionable, her integrity intact, and protected fully by the institution. Senior aides revealed that Charles was visibly shaken when confronted with evidence showing that misleading internal emails and edited rehearsal footage were circulated from accounts linked to Laura Lopes, daughter of Queen Camilla. Charles was briefed on December 3rd and immediately ordered an internal review, consulting the Lord Chamberlain's office, the Royal Communications Unit, and Westminster Abbey's security oversight team. By 10:15 p.m. that night, he convened a private emergency meeting at Buckingham Palace. Sources described the atmosphere as icy, tense, and painfully revealing. Queen Camilla, present throughout, was reportedly ashen and nearly speechless when the full scope of her daughter's actions was detailed. While the palace has not confirmed these internal moments, today's statement strongly implies accountability. At the personal level, no member of the extended royal family, regardless of relation, is allowed to compromise the security of official events or undermine the dignity of those who serve them. The statement carefully separates responsibility from queenship, implicitly shielding Camilla from blame while making clear that Laura acted alone, without authorization, and against the values of the Crown. Westminster Abbey officials quickly released a clarifying statement, confirming that the smoke was caused by a non-hazardous, improperly handled rehearsal device, not due to budget cuts, negligence, or oversight failures by Catherine or her team. This directly contradicts the false emails claiming Catherine prioritised floral arrangements over safety. Emails now confirmed by palace investigators to be fabrications. Public reaction was immediate. Hashtags like #StandWithCatherine, #RoyalIntegrity, and #TogetherAtChristmas began trending within minutes. Prominent NHS representatives and bereavement charities, many of whom rely on the annual ceremony to honour lost loved ones, praised Catherine's resilience and condemned the unnecessary stress caused by these baseless rumours. Meanwhile, attention turned sharply toward Laura Lopes, who has not been publicly seen since December 3rd. Multiple sources indicate she is in a restricted communications period as the Royal Household and Communications Investigation Office determine the full extent of her involvement and whether outside parties helped distribute falsified materials. King Charles's final line in the statement emphasised the seriousness of what comes next. This institution will not tolerate disruptive behaviour driven by jealousy, rivalry, or personal grievance. Consequences will be determined through proper channels and announced in due course. Buckingham Palace has officially elevated what started as a private family dispute into a matter of public responsibility, an unprecedented move signalling both the severity of Laura's actions and the unwavering support for Catherine as she prepares to lead the official Together at Christmas service on December 24th. Charles's historic mourning statement reverberated across the United Kingdom. Just 6 days after the December 2nd rehearsal incident, whispered accusations have exploded into a full-blown royal crisis, publicly positioning the monarch against his stepdaughter Laura and, by uncomfortable extension, against his own wife, Queen Camilla. While the king's language was firm, Laura's actions clearly compromised security and violated public trust. Behind closed doors, the gravity of the situation became undeniable. Senior palace aides reported a second private meeting on the evening of December 4th, attended by Charles, Camilla, Prince William, Princess Catherine, Princess Anne, and 2 officials from the Royal Household Ethics and Accountability Committee, a rarely activated group reviewing internal misconduct. By then, investigators had compiled digital evidence linking Laura to leaked rehearsal footage, a trail of altered emails, and unauthorized briefings to tabloid intermediaries. While none of the materials bore her name, forensic metadata confirmed at least 3 anonymous uploads came from a private device registered to her company, LJ Creative Arts Limited, based in London. Insiders describe Queen Camilla as deeply distressed during the December 4th meeting, not over the monarchy's reputation, but initially over her daughter. She reportedly tried to defend Laura, suggesting she may have been manipulated or acting out of hurt, not malice. Yet when presented with digital signatures, timestamps and analytics showing media spikes just 3 minutes after rehearsal, even Camilla fell into stunned silence. The most dramatic moment came when Princess Catherine entered, carrying a printed binder full of screenshots, press clippings, and a detailed breakdown of the misinformation wave. Calm, poised, and undeniably resolute, she placed the binder in front of Camilla and said just one sentence: "I want you to see what she tried to destroy, not just me, but everything we've built." Camilla, fully realizing the weight of the evidence, reportedly turned to Laura, who had been quietly seated at the far end of the room, and said, "You've put me in a position where I cannot protect you anymore. You can fend for yourself now." In a moment that mixed quiet scandal control with calculated strategic distancing, Camilla removed her hand from Laura's arm, signaling publicly, even within the royal circle, that any maternal protection had officially ceased. Just 24 hours later, at 2 p.m. on December 5th, a second internal memorandum was circulated to all senior staff across royal residences, including Clarence House, Sandringham, and Windsor. The memorandum, reviewed under embargo by multiple outlets and now confirmed, stated, "Laura Lopes is to be formally suspended from all public-facing royal engagements. Her honorary affiliations, chiefly cultural charity boards and arts councils, are to be reviewed. Pending the outcome, she is prohibited from using any royal insignia, residence name or title in personal or commercial dealings." In an unprecedented step, an independent legal liaison from the Crown Prosecution Service will assess whether civil penalties are applicable. The Lord Chamberlain's office confirmed that no royal privileges, security protections, or housing support would be extended to Laura beyond December 10, 2025, pending final disciplinary findings according to constitutional scholars. This is the first time in modern British royal history that a non-working royal by marriage has faced such direct internal sanction without a police conviction, underscoring the palace's intent to restore credibility swiftly and publicly. Beneath the legalese, however, the emotional toll is just as severe. Close aides reveal that Prince William is incandescent with rage, particularly over the trauma his children endured during the rehearsal and evacuation. A source at Kensington Palace said George couldn't sleep that night, repeatedly asking if people were trying to hurt his mum. William reportedly will never forget those questions. Meanwhile, Catherine maintained a poised silence, refusing public retaliation, but her choice of appearance at St. Luke's Children's Hospital on December 6th spoke volumes. Dressed in a deep navy coat, minimal makeup, and no jewellery aside from her engagement ring, she conveyed calm, strength, and empathy without saying a word. During her visit, Catherine told a young patient, "When things are dark, that's when you hold on tighter to what's good and what's true." The image, calm, grounded, and selfless, quickly went viral. Public opinion, once swayed by sensational headlines, swung heavily back in her favour. As the storm over the December 2nd rehearsal intensified, so too did pressure on the institutions that had inadvertently allowed it to escalate. The British press, in the first 48 hours after the incident, ran wild. Anonymous tips, altered email leaks, and misleading videos fueled provocative headlines. But now, with Buckingham Palace confirming Laura Lopes' direct involvement in distributing falsified materials, the media has been forced into an unusual moment of introspection and correction. On December 3rd and 4th, tabloid giants like The Sun and the Daily Mail ran lines such as "Kate's Christmas crisis, public funds for petals," and "Royal budget cuts spark Abbey evacuation." Just days later, many of these outlets were compelled to retract, revise, or clarify. On December 6th, the Mirror issued a digital correction stating that new evidence confirmed the Princess of Wales had no role in any reduction of safety, oversight, or emergency protocols for the rehearsal. Earlier statements in the publication were updated to reflect the findings of the royal household's internal investigation. The Times, known for its restrained coverage, went further in a December 7th op-ed. What occurred at Westminster Abbey on December 2nd was not just an operational disruption, but a stark reminder of how quickly narratives, especially against female royals, can spiral into judgment without facts. The editorial concluded, "The Princess of Wales deserves not only an apology, but also thoughtful reflection from the media itself." This shift in coverage is no accident. It reflects a coordinated effort by the Royal Communications Office, led by Sir Clive Medwin, to demand corrections, assert legal review where necessary, and most importantly, rebuild the narrative ahead of the public ceremony on December 24th. While others scrambled, Catherine remained silent, refusing interviews or public statements. But her silence did not mean inaction. On December 5th, she convened a private strategy team at Kensington Palace, including advisors from her patronage office, legal counsel, and event planners. Sources say she opened the meeting not with directives, but with a single question: how do we turn this pain into purpose? The plan that emerged was both dignified and bold. First, Catherine refused to scale down or cancel the Together at Christmas ceremony. Despite public speculation, she doubled down, keeping the venue, retaining the original guests, and honouring the orphans and healthcare workers who had been central to her vision. Second, she insisted that no public funds be used to manage the fallout, stressing that the power of the moment lay in accountability, not spectacle. Any increased security, rebooking fees, or press management expenses would come from her private endowment, not the sovereign grant. Third, she requested that the names of the children frightened during the rehearsal be added to the official guest list for the December 24th ceremony, each to receive a personal handwritten card from her as a gesture of comfort. Meanwhile, the palace's message on Laura Lopes' actions grew clearer by the day. One question continues to gain traction among commentators, MPs, and even lifelong monarchists. Where is Queen Camilla? Unlike King Charles, Prince William, and Princess Anne, who have shown visible support or made statements backing Catherine, Camilla has remained publicly silent. Her last known appearance was December 1st at a literary charity fundraiser. Since then, she has neither issued an official statement nor appeared alongside the king. That silence is beginning to erode public perception. The #sign, Where is Camilla, has quietly gained momentum alongside more pointed criticism from royal watchers. Morland, a Spectator columnist, wrote on December 7th, "If Camilla cannot bring herself to publicly stand with Catherine now, in the face of deceit and sabotage from within her own bloodline, she will be remembered not for silence, but for private complicity." Palace insiders say the Queen Consort is being strongly advised by her own staff to release a statement by December 10th, or risk being seen as part of the problem. One source was blunt: "Every minute Camilla remains quiet, the palace has to speak louder, for Catherine." On the streets of London, the sentiment is no longer passive. On the evening of December 6th, a small candlelit vigil was held outside Kensington Palace, organised by healthcare volunteers and families of COVID victims who have long supported the Together at Christmas message. Rebecca H., 52, a nurse from Surrey who lost her father during the pandemic, held up a placard reading, "She lit a candle for us. Now we stand for her." The moment wasn't staged, but the photos spread rapidly, their emotional power resonating far beyond the usual circle of royal sympathisers. Even prominent Republican critics have softened their tone. Amish Khan, a university lecturer and vocal monarchy critic, posted on X, "I don't support the crown, but I support decency, and what Catherine has endured this week with grace and dignity is beyond what any public servant should face." As the monarchy grapples with the fallout from the December 2nd rehearsal scandal, attention inside and outside the palace has shifted to a bigger strategic question. What does this crisis reveal about the royal family's future structure, and who truly holds power behind the throne? Over the past week, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has transformed from a ceremonial figurehead into what insiders now describe as a pillar of constitutional stability. Not only did she withstand coordinated attempts to undermine her reputation, but she did so without flinching, suing, or making public accusations. That ironclad restraint, combined with meticulous preparation for the Together at Christmas event, has elevated her standing beyond sympathy into a position of strategic necessity. On December 5th, following King Charles's formal statement naming Laura Lopes as the source of misconduct, Sir Alan Draycott, private secretary to the Sovereign, convened an informal advisory roundtable at St James's Palace. The goal? Assess what the monarchy's internal communications described as both a reputational threat and an opportunity to redefine senior royal leadership in the public eye. Multiple attendees confirmed that Princess Catherine's role was central to the discussion. Several lords reportedly proposed formally repositioning her as the senior guardian of public engagement. While largely symbolic, the move would formalise a role she has already been practising. Catherine is now the monarchy's most trusted emissary to the public. A former communications director, who served under Queen Elizabeth II, told The Observer on December 7th, "We are watching a generational shift. The public sees her not just as a wife to the heir, but as a leader. This isn't just surviving a smear campaign, it's showing who has the moral compass in the room." This quiet reorganisation stands in stark contrast to the vacuum forming around Queen Camilla, who remains publicly absent. Every day without a statement from her sharpens the spotlight and amplifies the contrast. 6 days have passed since the rehearsal. 6 days since false emails, misleading video footage, and tabloid leaks attempted to tarnish the Princess of Wales's reputation. 6 days since King Charles defended Catherine with unwavering clarity. But Camilla, Laura Lopes's mother, has said nothing. At first, royal aides suggested she was processing privately. Then rumours surfaced of a draft apology under review by her personal PR advisor. Now, palace officials are growing restless. One courtier, speaking on condition of anonymity, said on December 6th, "The Queen Consort's silence is no longer seen as dignified. It's now interpreted as passive resistance, or worse, quiet alignment. The King has drawn the line. The public has taken sides. The Queen remains in the hallway. The urgency has only intensified as members of the Privy Council and senior advisers fear Camilla's inaction may weaken the unity the monarchy has struggled to project post-pandemic." Sources confirm that Princess Anne, one of Catherine's strongest allies, personally urged Camilla during a phone call on December 6th to clear the air for the sake of the institution. Still no statement has come. In the wake of Laura Lopes's confirmed orchestration of misinformation, Prince William's response has remained firm but controlled. Aides say he is not speaking to Laura and has declined multiple requests from Camilla for a private audience. Instead, he has focused entirely on preparing with Catherine for the December 24th Christmas Eve ceremony, which many now believe could become the most watched royal event since the Queen's funeral in 2022. Royal sources indicate that Princess Anne and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, have both provided direct support to Catherine, coordinating guest logistics, media, press kits, and volunteer management. One insider explained, "This isn't just protocol anymore. It's a rallying circle around her." Even Prince Edward, who rarely involves himself in royal disputes, is said to have expressed quiet outrage at the level of deceit involved. Anne has formally requested that Laura Lopes be indefinitely excluded from Commonwealth Day events in March 2026. The clearest sign of fracture came during a closed-door ceremonial rehearsal on December 7th, a standard briefing for senior royals attending the Christmas Eve event. Camilla did not attend. Instead, her private secretary issued notice that she would defer ceremonial duties through the end of the year, citing private reflection amid a growing rift. Meanwhile, Catherine continues to demonstrate composure and strategic vision. Weeks before the December 2nd rehearsal, she quietly arranged independent auditing of the event's financials, anticipating scrutiny over public funds. That documentation, now published in a controlled leak via the royal household's official channel, shows every expenditure accounted for, with emergency budgets increased, not cut. She personally selected royal engineering teams to inspect fire systems and verify safety protocols well before the fabricated emails accused her of neglect. These decisions, made quietly and without fanfare, have proven critical in dismantling the lies Laura Lopes attempted to spread. "She built this event like a fortress," said one palace logistics official. "Not just for sentiment, but for truth, for trust. That's not ceremony. That's leadership." By the morning of December 8th, a new chapter in the December 2nd rehearsal scandal began unfolding, not in headlines or palace statements, but within the chambers of legal inquiry. The royal household, under King Charles III's direct authorization, has transferred all materials related to Laura Lopes's conduct to the Royal Legal Advisory Council and the Crown Prosecution Service for independent review. This includes metadata logs, email forensics, social media traces, and communications flagged during the internal digital audit. While Laura Lopes does not hold an HRH title and is not a working royal, she benefited for years from proximity-based access, event invitations, legacy email channels tied to Clarence House, and a symbolic presence at royal events. That privilege status is now formally suspended as of 10:30 a.m. on December 7th. The RLAC released a short but definitive statement. Due to the scope and nature of the digital evidence, indicating deliberate dissemination of falsified correspondence and manipulated audio-visual material, Laura Lopes will be subject to an independent review to determine potential liability under civil fraud and reputational damage statutes. It's a reckoning. Even though a full criminal investigation has not yet been announced, sources within the CPS confirm a preliminary threshold review has been completed and Laura may face charges. If intent and coordination with third parties can be proven, more concerning for her future is the financial element. Should audits confirm that Laura knowingly impersonated or exploited institutional resources to create or release doctored communications, she could face civil penalties, fines, or lawsuits from vendors, security firms, or guests affected by the incident. One royal insider, speaking on condition of anonymity, shared, "This is no longer about palace politics. This is now about legal precedent. Misusing your association with the crown, especially to harm another member of the royal family, has consequences. Title or no title." For King Charles, this moment represents an emotionally complex intersection between duty and fatherhood. While Laura is not his biological daughter, she is Queen Camilla's eldest child and has been part of Charles's extended family since the early 2000s. Charles had maintained a quiet but consistent policy of inclusion, allowing Laura limited ceremonial presence without a title, but this scandal forced him to make a clean public separation between personal loyalty and institutional responsibility. Privately, aides say Charles was deeply pained by the evidence that Laura had targeted Catherine's integrity, not out of whistleblowing or accountability, but out of jealousy and narrative control. A palace briefing document prepared for senior officials on December 6th states, "Clearly the motivations in question were not grounded in truth-seeking, but image warfare. This cannot be permitted within the sphere of royal service." It was Charles's personal instruction to formally remove Laura from all event guest lists through 2026, including family Christmas at Sandringham. Additionally, she is barred from public appearances involving state-sponsored initiatives, Commonwealth engagements, or charity patronage under royal banners. Charles's position is firm. Catherine is not only the future queen consort, she embodies the monarchy's modern legitimacy. Allowing her to be undermined, especially with misinformation tactics, would betray the trust the public has placed in the crown and, as he said, "with God by our side, also our moral compass." Late on December 7th, nearly a week after the incident, Queen Camilla finally issued a statement. Brief, impersonal, and heavily mediated, it read, "In light of recent events, I wish to express my sincere sadness that private actions by a member of my family have caused distress and confusion around a ceremony rooted in remembrance and unity. I stand with His Majesty, the King, and the royal household in their commitment to transparency and integrity. Action will follow." Observers noted that the statement did not name Laura directly, nor did it include an apology to Catherine or Prince William. While carefully neutral, the absence of direct accountability sparked sharp criticism from media and the public. Fiona Delaney, columnist for The Telegraph, wrote, "This was not a mother defending her daughter, nor a queen defending the crown. It was a reluctant note passed under the door, far too late and far too vague." Public reaction was equally sharp. Hashtags like #CamillaMustSpeak and #support Catherine trended overnight. Even former Camilla allies in the press began questioning whether her silence and deflection had irreversibly fractured her standing as consort. While others scrambled, deflected, or fractured, Catherine remained the gravitational centre of both the scandal and the solution. On December 7th, she visited St James's School for Orphans, a partner organisation she had planned to highlight at the December 24th ceremony long before the scandal erupted. Without cameras, without press releases, she read Christmas stories and answered questions from children about the meaning of remembrance. When asked by a girl if she was sad about the news, Catherine simply replied, "I'm most thankful that all the children were safe and that we're still going to make Christmas meaningful for them." This moment, captured by a staff member and quietly posted to the school's community bulletin, has since gone viral, shared over 3 million times in under 24 hours. Later that evening, Kensington Palace released a single photograph, Catherine reviewing final ceremony notes at her desk, lit only by candlelight, a strand of Christmas lights behind her. No text, no caption, just an image that spoke louder than any press conference. Royal communication strategists say this is precisely what is working in her favour. The public now sees Catherine not just as a symbol of resilience, but as an embodiment of clarity, kindness, and quiet command in a family moment otherwise marked by noise, ego, and miscalculation. The countdown to December 24th, 2025 has taken on profound gravity. What was once envisioned as a gentle evening of song, remembrance, and shared resilience at Westminster Abbey has now evolved into a national reckoning, a royal reaffirmation, and a defining stage for the woman poised to become queen. Inside the palace, preparations have resumed with renewed intensity. Security protocols have been overhauled, guest lists vetted, and an official digital archive of verified rehearsal footage made public to combat lingering misinformation. Among those confirmed to attend, King Charles II, who will deliver the opening benediction, Princess Anne, co-hosting select readings, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, leading the candle procession, and the Wales children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, appearing briefly to present flowers to NHS staff and bereaved families. Queen Camilla will not attend. Her office issued a short notice on December 8th, citing personal reflection and the need to avoid unnecessary disruption. Laura Lopes is no longer welcome on royal grounds. Her legal proceedings will continue quietly but formally into 2026. The highlight of the evening will be Catherine's closing address. Currently under careful review by both Kensington Palace and the Archbishop of Canterbury, the final version remains confidential. Excerpts reviewed by senior aides suggest a tone of forgiveness without forgetting, leadership rooted in service, not spectacle. One line confirmed for inclusion reads, "We remember not just those we've lost, but what we owe to one another, truth, compassion, and the courage to rise above grievance for the greater good." That line, some say, is not only for the guests, but for the nation, and perhaps the family. As Westminster Abbey prepares to open its doors on Christmas Eve, the monarchy stands at a symbolic crossroads. Through scandal, sabotage, and silence, the institution has chosen clarity. It has backed a woman, not by blood, but by merit, not by title, but by trust. Catherine's rise has not come from aggression, but from authenticity, and that may well be the new definition of power in the House of Windsor. If you're following this royal drama, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one story that's far from over.